hobby family? It is your boy K-Dub. This is K-Dub's High Five, 5 rapid fire questions with your favorite hobby faces. And today we bring in a true OG when it comes to this YouTube hobby thing. He is Sam, Vikings 95, Vikings 95 cards on social medias. Also a fan of the greatest NFL team in the entire land, the Minnesota Vikings. How are you doing today, bro?
I'm doing awesome. How are you, Kate?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and it's always nice to get a little sympathy from another Vikings fan on the
Oh
high
yeah.
five. So,
You
um,
know the pain. You know the pain.
hey,
Thank you for having
this
me.
is my wife's Christmas shirt for me, by the way.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's brutal. She trolls me on my Vikings fandom. So, how this works? I got 5 questions, all hobby related. I'm gonna throw them at you one right after another. Ready to take on the high five?
Let's do it.
All right, man. First question. As I said, you are like an OG when it comes to the hobby content of YouTube. I mean, you were doing it before everyone was doing it, obviously, on the YouTube hobby scene. Kind of walk me through how you came up with the idea to do sports cards on YouTube.
Yeah, it's changed over the last, 5 years or so. So I started in 2018, and it actually kind of stems back all the way to childhood. Me, like many, many other, youngsters, were collecting on and off through their childhood. Of course, back then it was a lot cheaper, and I was still ripping mostly retail packs.
For sure.
But that fell out for a long time. Get to college, you don't have much money as a college kid. So I was broke college student for a while. Graduated in my senior year. One of my buddies, for fantasy football, actually would pick up like cards and memorabilia of like the best players on his fantasy team. And so
Okay.
he was showing me some of that stuff, kind of like got me reminiscing. And then I actually looked up on YouTube. He was showing me some other YouTubers. At
Mm,
the time, there were not many. It was like PC87,
yeah.
50 Cheddar Bob, I think like Card Collector 2 and like Pac-Man were like the major ones. And I
Okay.
was like, this actually looks pretty fun.
Those
So
guys were still young in their content, though. I mean, Card Collector 2 was just, I mean, that's early stuff.
yeah, it was, I mean, if you go back and look at some of the videos now from like
For
at
sure.
all of like the big huge names on YouTube, some of their first videos just like camera phones, iPhones, just shooting stuff. So it was a wild time. But I was watching it, I was like, this looks like a fun hobby. I'm coming out of college. I'm gonna have a little bit of disposable income with, after I got my loans paid off and everything. And so I was like, I want to try something new.
Mm,
And fell in love with YouTube, fell in love with the hobby, and just getting back into it and kind of sharing my experiences as a whole. So that's kind of how I got back into it, or I guess I got into it, got
yeah.
back into the hobby after a 10-year hiatus or whatever you want to call it after collecting as a kid. But that's how kind of the channel came about way back when.
Yeah, Vikings 95. You guys subscribe to his channel. I will pump it in the description, but it's good stuff. And there's just a ton on there. I think 500 plus videos on there. So you got content, my friend.
It's yeah, I try and keep to a schedule relatively closely because I enjoy making the videos and I enjoy sharing my experiences, and so I think it's been usually around like 3 to 5 a week for probably the past 5 years.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it adds up.
And then, I mean, as far as when you first started, were you just kind of creating the wheel as far as what you were putting out? Was it ideas you were seeing, on these kind of OGs, PC87, Cheddar Bob? Or, I mean, where do you come up with that to start? Like, where do you start with this?
I guess there's kind of, I mean, like you could kind of still say there's like probably around 5 basic videos. You got like box breaks. You got, I mean, now you have breaks as a whole. That's kind of a new thing that's kind of came up. But you got like breaking hobby boxes, retail boxes. You got mail day videos, collection videos. And then my big thing that kind of launched my channel was like eBay lots. Like
Uh,
I bought a lot of eBay lots, man, the mystery hot packs, just good finds on eBay, whatever. And so that was kind of my niche, and it's still pretty much is my niche, is trying to find eBay card of the week and stuff like that. Just
yeah,
show people the deals are still out there. You can still find it, just takes a little bit longer than it used to.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I love it, man. Keep it up, man. It's good stuff.
Thank
So,
you, thank you. You
um,
too.
well, let's talk about kind of your influences when it comes. You kind of mentioned a couple names there, but let's maybe talk about the hobby as a whole when it comes to collecting sports cards. Like, who would you credit as some of those influences in your life when it comes to card collecting?
If I'm going way, way back, probably my parents, my dad. Uh, I don't know if you've ever been to Twins Fest, but Twins Fest is like the Minnesota Twins, kind of like get together for, they have a bunch of athletes there. They get back when I went, probably, I don't, it was probably around like 2005 or something.
Okay.
But you're getting like cards signed by athletes. I got like a picture with like Rod Carew and stuff like that. And so, um, that's kind of what started my interest in collecting as a whole. And then moving down the line, I like football more than baseball, more than basketball. I watched them all, but I just like, you got back in the day, it was like you got 16 games of football,
Mm,
and that's all you got for the season. I mean, maybe
sure.
you get more as a Vikings fan, kind of hit or miss, but yeah. So it was kind of I lean towards the Vikings and I lean towards football
Yeah.
and football card collecting. So that's that influence. But then when you switch into the YouTube side of influencers, it was really those guys that I mentioned, like PC87, Packers Cards 87. I know he's a Packers fan,
Yeah.
but he was who I watched most
Sure.
before making my channel. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, you can even see kind of with the name, like he's got PC87 on Vikings 95. I know Jordy Nelson was his reason for 87. I was born in 1995, and I'm
Okay.
a huge Vikings fan, so that's the reason behind that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I mean, I've had PC87, Cheddar Bob, Card Collector
Hmm.
Crew. They've all been on here, and they all, kind of stem the same direction on their name. They just kind of picked what they liked and their number. So I don't think you borrowed anything from anybody. I think everyone is borrowing everything from everyone anyway. So um,
That's true. Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Well, if you're ever interested in hearing anything from those guys, look at the past high five videos.
Mhm.
Those guys have all been a part of it, and all awesome dudes for the YouTube community and the sports card community as a whole. So, all right, man. This is my favorite question, but I'm really excited for you to answer this question. Being a Vikings fan, I don't know if it's a Vikings card, but maybe I'm hoping. What's the Grail item for you? If you think about the card you've always wanted, the item you've always wanted, what would that be and why?
Okay, so this one, it is not a Vikings card. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
okay, okay.
but but this one is something that's probably not the biggest value to everyone, but to me personally, Alan Lazard was really the first player I ever collected.
Really?
Yep, Alan Lazard. It was because of my time at Iowa State. He
Okay.
graduated, well, he was drafted the same year I graduated. So he was
Okay.
drafted in the 2018 draft to the Jaguars, practice squad player, didn't really amount to much. Sadly went, I mean, kind of bittersweet. He went over to Green Bay, had success with Rodgers
Yeah.
and kind of made his name. And now he's a Jet. And of course, this season didn't really pan out as they had hoped. But he was the guy that I initially started collecting.
Okay.
For a while, he was the only guy I was collecting until the next year was David Montgomery and Hakeem Butler. So if I had to choose one card, it would be his 2018 Prism Rookie Black Finite autograph or base card. I have been chasing down that rainbow for
Mm,
5 years now.
wow.
I think on both sets, I'm one or two cards away. One of them, that's the only one I'm missing. And then the other one, it's like that in a gold vinyl or something. So
Man, the 101 is just if you get the 101, you got to go for the rainbow. But
I
when you don't
know,
get
I
the rainbow,
know.
it's a brutal relationship with rainbows when you don't have the 101.
It's addictive. That is true.
Oh man, well, who knows? Maybe Lazard will finish his career in Minnesota and we'll all be happy. So
I would love that. That'd be sweet.
we could use a three. We could use a wide receiver three. So
That's
uh,
true. Yeah.
all right, man. Well, I know that you do product. I know that you do retail. But if you think about all the products that are out there, would you take a shot at the 2018 Prism for the Lazard? Rip any box you want. Money's not an option. What are you taking and why?
Well, I know one of the Lazards has been pulled and is somewhere, so I'm probably not going 2018. If
Okay.
I had to, or I guess if money wasn't an option, because
Yeah.
I'm a retail ripper.
Yeah.
I like taking my odds at lower dollar values because
Fair enough.
it's too easy to lose a lot of money in this hobby. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
But I would probably go with, I don't know if I could pick a product, but the years would definitely be like a 2017 or a 2020.
Okay. Okay.
Both of those draft classes for me are just so loaded. You got Mahomes in 2017, you got JJ in 2020, along with all those quarterbacks.
Hmm.
I think Prism would be fun.
Mm.
flawless NT, impeccable. I mean, it's at some point I'd be happy with pretty much anything. But
Yeah, especially in 2017, man, because the prices of 2017 aren't coming down anytime soon as long as that guy Mahomes is still throwing touchdowns. So,
right, you got like CMC in that draft class too, and
oh, yeah.
it's crazy.
Oh, all right, man. Well, last question for you here. I mean, obviously, you've been in this hobby for an extended period of time now. You've kind of seen the trends pre-pandemic, pandemic, post-pandemic.
Yep.
As you think about like the trends moving forward into 2024, what kind of gets you excited as far as continuing to be part of the hobby, continuing to be part of the sports card world?
Oh man, there's a couple things right now that come to mind. First is probably the most relevant for the hobby is the Fanatics
Mm,
takeover that is kind of slowly turning into fruition. We'll see
yeah,
how that really changes once Panini is truly kind of gone from a lot of products.
yeah.
Um, I'm interested to see if they shake things up. I'm hoping that, maybe they do a little bit of a better effort in some of the areas that Panini's lacking, such
Mm,
as, customer service. Whenever I hit points in a video, I'm not a big fan of points or redemptions.
gotcha.
So stuff like that. We'll
Smart.
see. Well, yeah, right. So we'll see if that changes. I'm hoping it does. I hope they bring like a fresh take to the hobby.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't really say much until you see it happen. So that, along with the 2024 draft class, I think is going to be a wild, wild draft class because there's just so many players that, I mean, I've heard the word generational talent
Yep.
multiple times. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., you got like the Caleb Williams, Drake May, all the quarterbacks. It's gonna be a wild time in once that draft class kind of comes through, and kind of just to see what happens to products
Yep.
if they're still available. I hope they are. I'm an advocate for everyone trying to get products that want it. I kind of like seeing things sit
Mm.
on the shelves because that means people that are collecting do get a chance to at least rip some wax.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I mean, it's going to be interesting with these, licensing deals with different quarterbacks in different ways. Who's going to be in what product, and who's signing here, and who's signing there. I mean, it's definitely like you said, it's going
Right.
to be a little bit of the wild, wild west for a couple of years when it comes to the sports card world. But it is kind of exciting the possibilities, especially when you have so much talent that could be coming into the league in the next year.
It's gonna be. I mean, do you think the Vikings maybe have a new QB2, maybe a QB1 going in? I don't know.
At this point, man, whatever. Let's just get something going. That's kind of where I'm at.
Get some
Um,
wins.
which leads me into the final question because I rarely get to talk Vikings talk on the high five. So give me like a 1 minute synopsis. We're Vikings fans, so we're hopeful right now when it comes to next year.
Yep.
Always hopeful at the end. Like, what do you have to look forward to when it comes to Skull Nation 2024 football season?
Personally,
Yeah.
I really, really hope that we keep JJ. That would probably be, in my opinion, that's my number one priority is keep Justin Jefferson. Hopefully he's a lifer Viking. I'd love to see that. Because he's such a spark for our offense. And then if we could somehow, some way, restructure Kirk's contract to be
Mm.
a little bit less than I'm probably expecting. If we could keep that offense together, I would be pumped. That would be it'd be fun to watch. If everyone's healthy, we were looking awesome.
Oh,
It would be a fun year if people can come back healthy.
yeah, and if Flores continues to build that defense, that
Yes.
defense finished the year very, very strong. I mean, the offense was the hurt for our team. So if we could get 1 year of just that offense all healthy, oh man, I would go into the season so excited. But I mean, I'm always excited, but that
You
would be.
have to come to Minnesota for a Vikings game.
I'm gonna have to be. I'm gonna have to do it now.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the reason right there. So, right on, man. Well, hey, we cleared the list here. We got a high five at the end of high five. Put it up
All
there.
right.
Hey, check out Sam Vikings 95 on YouTube. He's also on social media platforms. Vikings 95 cards. You can also sub to this channel if you would be so kind, and follow me on Twitter at Mr. Kadub. Shout out to our season 4 high five endorsers, Midwest Box Breaks, LJ's Card Shop. You can get their information in the description of this video. Sam, hey, thanks so much for doing this, man. I love talking Vikings. But it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
fun to hear your origins of your YouTube as well as kind of your collector mindset. So thanks so much for joining me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and Skull.
Skull, baby. Y'all take care. We'll catch you guys next time on the continuing of season 4 of K Dub's High Five.